What's going on, guys? How's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys are doing well. I love that Shrek said it's felt like 10 years. Because I definitely have felt like it's been forever since I've streamed. Yeah. It's been weird not streaming as often. So yeah, I'm glad to be back, guys. We have a good boxing news night tonight. And we have some great news. Obviously, you guys know about Canelo versus Plant. We're going to talk about that a little bit. We have some other stuff, though, some really interesting stuff in terms of other things that are going on. Big news, the big news, yeah, 10-8 Canelo, big time. The big news is for Saturday. Saturday, we are doing a 12-hour stream. It's the next 12-hour stream we're doing. So we're going to be starting at 12:30 p.m. Eastern time, which is like 10:30 my time. And then we're going to go to 10:30 or 12:30 a.m. Eastern time, which is 10:30 p.m. my time. And we're going to watch all of the AJ Usyk undercard as well as the full card. And then we're going to watch the entire UFC card after that. It's going to be all in the Discord, by the way. Streaming in the Discord at the same time. Oh, we're going to talk about AJ versus Usyk. I did a nice fight prediction video on that. Oh, boys. Let me tell you something. First and foremost, it's good to be back. Good to be talking to you guys. But we have some news. Let's talk about a few of these like ticky-tacky things and we'll get into the good stuff. This fight is kind of interesting purely from the standpoint of Babak is such a freakish dude. Yeah, who would have known? We have news, I know. Babak is such a weird fighter. It's like this weird amalgamation, very interesting kind of fighter. And I'm for it. Like, I'm all for it. But fighting Lucas Brown, what's interesting about this is Lucas Brown got beat. His last semi-decent opponent was Dave Allen, and that was like 3 years ago. 4 years ago, Dave Allen hit. If you've never seen the body shot Lucas Brown took from Dave Allen, holy fuck. It's one of my favorite body shots of like all time. It's such a beautiful body shot that it's like the standard for a body shot as a heavyweight. And I don't say that lightly because it's Dave Allen, who is not a boxer that I would recommend a lot of boxers kind of basing their styles off of or looking to as a mentor. Your mom lets me do body shots. Yeah. If you want to do that, you're gonna basically die of lung cancer doing that. So anyways, what's interesting about this, and maybe I can find it. If I can find it, I'm gonna show you guys this. It's one of my favorite body shots. And the reason I say that is it's so picturesque that it is the standard. We all Cece, what's going on? What's going on? It's the first time I've literally streamed in over a week. It's been so weird. Okay, here we go. Let's see if I can get it queued up. Hold on. Here we go. We'll go into the proper screen. We'll get it all set up. We'll get it all set up. Because if I'm going to talk about a body shot, I got to show it, right? Okay. Here's Dave Allen with this body shot on Lucas Brown. Lucas Brown is a tough SOB. He's someone that doesn't move super great, but he is someone that can hurt you. Just wait, I'll get to it. Don't worry. We'll fast forward through all this. And just wait. Dave Allen has an amazing... Oh, here we go. Here we go. You ready? Watch it. Lucas Brown's winning this fight right now. Here it comes. Right there. You see it? Let's show it again. Boom, there it is. It's like an anime punch. It's so good. Here we go. You ready? Here it comes again. Oh! He never gets up. Oh my God. What? Here it is. Boom! Right on the fucking liver. Oh! Boom! Just knew it. And oh boy. If Dave Allen can do that to you, if Dave Allen, who was ranked, I believe, at the height of his career, I believe he was ranked worldwide, maybe 25th, 24th. British commentary, I know it's fucking garbage. Oh, we'll get to the don't call me a motherfucker, that's for sure. With CANELO. I think there was a little bit of loss of translation there, but it gets so good. If Dave Allen can do that to you, if Dave Allen can hit you with a liver shot that just shuts your whole body down, 4 years ago, you're fucked. Because the reason I say that is, does anyone know Lucas Brown's last fight? Lucas Brown fought, and I'm not even joking about this, a rugby player in like New Zealand or Australia. I can't remember which. Doesn't really matter. And he lost in like the third round. This is going to be easy work. Yeah, a rugby player. He didn't fight a fighter. He fought a rugby player and lost. So, Babbitt, even though Babbitt is super wild, super all over the place. Don't talk about my mother. There we go, Jaden. Like, although Babbitt is all over the place and he is super aggressive and his form is just terrible, I'm expecting him to win this fight. I think he's going to win this fight in the second round. That's, you know, it's what makes Babbitt interesting, guys. If you don't watch him, he's fun, man. He's just fun to watch. He's not great. He's not perfect, but he is fun. So I'll give him that. Now we're going to move into some more interesting news in boxing, guys. Oh, yeah. No, he's exactly Shrek. He's like the come forward. I'm going to throw a million punches in the first 2 rounds. I don't care. And that's what's cool. Like, that's what kind of makes him his style. The big thing is eventually him and Hrgovic are going to have to square off because of the Croatian side of it all, you know. Yeah, exactly. It's like, he's on the undercard because he's going to make people have fun. That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. Okay, Donaire. I cut it off a little bit. But Casemiro, fight is in the works. It should have been done by now. After the last fight with Rigondeaux, this is a good fight, actually. This is more interesting. Donaire is a much more dynamic fighter. I'm actually pretty excited about this general prospect of this fight. Guys are older. They don't move as quickly, but they're still light and can do some damage. Kind of fun. Let's move up a couple weight classes to Teofimo Lopez. And this is actually something that's going to wreck Triller. This is what's the downfall of Triller, by the way. I think this is a really good thing. Teo saying he's refusing to move off October 4th. And Triller wants to move off of that date purely because it's like a Tuesday. It's in New York, but it's a Tuesday. Like, it's a really shitty date. It just doesn't make sense. Honestly, it just doesn't make sense. Why you would pick that date for a fight, I have no idea. I have no idea. But I will say, yeah, 20 pay-per-view buys, like, it's a garbage setup for this fight, which is going to maybe be a little bit scrappy and kind of somewhat interesting. I don't think it's going to be a big deal, but still a little bit. Exactly. Shrek, you nailed it on the head. People don't want to wait for this fight anymore. Like, no one wants to wait for this fight anymore. No one wants to see this fight. Lopez should be fighting Loma. He has to fight Gamboza's purely based off of belt and mandatory. Everyone wants to see him fight Loma next. Or they want to see him move up. If you're not going to fight Loma at lightweight, drop the belts and go forward to 140. If you're not going to fight Loma, fight Devin Haney. Fight Tank Davis. Fight, someone somewhat interesting. Regis Prograis, I'm sure, would love to fight Teofimo Lopez at 140. He'd come down a weight class for that. Absolutely. Mikey Garcia was going to fight him at 147, and Mikey kind of dished out on that one real quick. Fight Regis at fucking 140 then. Let's go for it. Let's see what you got, man. Like, I'm sick of this kid being 22 years old and nothing happening. And it's not necessarily purely his fault. Yeah, fight Jake Paul. Jake Paul's calling out Tommy Fury quite a bit. We might touch on that really quick in this stream. But I'm sick of wasting this kid's youth just sitting around waiting for Triller fights. Like, it's just such a waste, dude. And the kid's a good fight. Like, do I like Lopez Sr.? No, I don't. I really don't like him. I don't like his arrogance. I don't like his personality. I don't like him. I just don't. I don't. Do I think that Teo, though, is a good fighter? Yeah, dude. He is a good fighter. And I think he could be something interesting. Let's get him going. Let's get him going. Let's, like, move him a little bit. Jay, how are you doing, man? So I'm glad to see that Teo's, like, putting his heels in and just saying, we're not moving this fight anymore. I'm done with this fight. I want to move on from this fight. This fight is so minor for me. Tall kid, what's going on? I think that shows me that Teo's at the point where he's just like, dude, I get it. Like, enough is enough. And that to me is a big deal. I'm glad he deserves better fights than this, man. So I think that this is a good step forward for him. Let's get the fight done. Let's get it over with. Let's move forward. Let's start talking about interesting kind of fights rather than an Australian freaking meme. Okay, next, let's keep moving forward because we got some good talk. We got some great stuff to talk about. Staying at the same weight class, though. And this is something I'm very curious what you guys think. This is one of those topics that I feel like is a little bit more interesting. WBC orders Jojo Diaz to defend against Ryan Garcia. Final, they're calling it like a final. A final before someone fights frickin' Haney. Why are we having a fight between Jojo Diaz and Ryan Garcia as a final mandatory? This makes no sense. And look, I am not the biggest Devin Haney fan. I have nothing against the kid. I think he's a really good fighter. But this right here, this feeds Devin Haney's fan base. And Jay, I absolutely agree with you, by the way. This feeds Devin Haney's fan base absolutely with this kind of idea right now. You know why it does? I'll tell you why. One of the few times I've agreed with Eddie Hearn, he said, this makes no sense. You have a champion and you have a mandatory. That was the point of Jojo Diaz fighting, was that he would be someone that would fight and get the mandatory slot and then fight Devin Haney. He was going to fight Fortuna for that exact reason. He fought Fortuna and he won. And now, out of nowhere, Ryan Garcia, who was supposed to be the actual mandatory and fight Fortuna to find out who is the final mandatory, now has to fight Jojo Diaz to get a fight with Devin Haney. It makes zero sense. And this feeds into a Devin Haney fan base overall, dude, because it makes Devin Haney say, everyone's ducking me. Jojo's my mandatory. He's ducking me. Ryan, you're ducking me. You should have fought Fortuna and been my mandatory. You're ducking me. It literally circles the wagons around Devin Haney, and it allows him to say, as the paper champ, as someone that is not literally fought other than Linares, I'll give him the Linares fight. That was a good fight for him. He's never beat a champion to get a title. Say, everyone's ducking me. Look at Tio. Tio's fighting Kambosos. And then what is he doing? He's moving up in weight class. What's going on with Ryan Garcia? He's fighting Jojo. Jojo's my mandatory. Who's he fighting? Ryan. So, who am I supposed to fight? It literally makes Devin Haney look really, absolutely 100% in the right on this. And guess what? I hate to say it, but he's right. Eddie Hearn's right, and Devin Haney's right. This is a stupid fight by the WBC. This is a dumb fight that has no reason to happen. Jojo should be fighting. Absolutely should be fighting Devin Haney. There's no reason he shouldn't. He's the mandatory to the WBC belt. The actual champion for WBC, although you could argue, Tio, is Devin Haney. Let's get it on. Let's get it over with. Come on. This is just foolishness on the WBC. Okay. Let's keep moving on. I could rant about this stuff all day long. All day. It's so frustrating, but it's typical boxing. I mean, come on. Let's move up to some weight classes. Let's first start with Triple G. I think this is interesting. It's been confirmed. I love Triple G, by the way. I love Triple G. You know? I know. It's essentially, it is an announcement for Ryan's next fight. It's JoJo. That's who Ryan's fighting next. Devin Haney, who the fuck knows? Here we go. Now, this is for Now, some people are going to say this fight has no meaning and there's no purpose for the Triple G to have this fight. There is some meaning behind this fight. There is some meaning behind this fight. And that is, if Triple G wins this fight, he now holds 2 of the middleweight belts. 2 middleweight belts are going to be in Triple G's pocket. That's not insignificant. That means Boo Boo and, Charlo better get on notice, because literally there's a dude that's almost 40 years old holding 2 belts that wants to fight you. Now, I know, I hate to see Triple G getting old. If we get this version of Triple G that we see in this photo, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I love Triple G. If you don't, we got to have a classic fight night where we watch Triple G. My God, he is so destructive. When he hits people, they just disappear. I gotta do a classic fight night with Triple G, because he's just so, he's that guy that people talk about as like a boogeyman. Oh, he's a boogeyman? No, Triple G was a legit boogeyman. People did not want any of that smoke. 0. But to some of your questions, here we go. Here we go. The biggest problem with Triple G, in my opinion, he gets hit so much. He doesn't slip punches. He doesn't kind of block punches. His chin is his defense. Now, no one has put Triple G on the canvas ever in his entire career. One of the greatest chins you can talk about. But if he goes in against this current Canelo for a third fight, I'm sorry, it's elderly abuse. Like, it's literally elderly abuse. Just don't do it. It's over. It's over, dude. It's over. I love Triple G. He's so good. In his prime, he was a monster. If you've never seen some of the videos of Triple G working out at Big Bear, which is at 7,000 feet in elevation, 7,000 feet in elevation, and he's swinging bags, like giant heavy bags, and just boom, hitting them as hard as he can. Dude, it's the scariest thing you've seen from a middleweight. Like, he was destructive, but he's not that guy anymore. And he's 40 years old. And it's time for him to get this fight in Japan and win another belt and just call it quits. Don't go for this fight. You've had 2 with Canelo. The first one you won. Everyone will give you the first fight. You won it. You won the first fight. There's no question. You won the first fight. No one will ever deny you didn't win the first fight. The second fight, that was the moment. I remember watching that fight live. If you've never watched the Canelo versus Triple G second fight, go back and watch it, man. I watched that fight live, and I'll never forget watching that fight live because it was like a switch was just clicked on for Canelo. And it was like, oh my God, this is a totally different fight. This is a totally different fight. Like, this is a different game plan. This is a totally different fighter. And that's where I saw Canelo just completely go to another level. That second Canelo fight totally went to another level. And don't get me wrong, if you want to go by like points, Triple G had an amazing jab that fight. But it was obvious. It was so obvious that like Triple G was not the same. You know? Like it wasn't the same fight, man. So Jeffrey's story about Evander Holyfield, it's so fucking scary. Yeah, Evander Holyfield being completely delusional. Yeah, I saw that. It was absolutely fucking scary. I saw that first fight and went the distance. I was like, wow, another decision loss for Canelo. I know. Canelo should have lost that first fight. There's no question. There's no question. Canelo versus Benavidez. I know, man. I agree. Triple G's, saga is done. He's done. Plus, many people won't give Canelo credit if he wins it. Anyways, that's true. I will say, Jay, to your point, people either love or hate Canelo at this point. And especially if they're Triple G fans, they'll never give him credit. They'll never get, no, your first fight. And it's like, oh, God. Canelo beats Plant easy. Yeah, I agree with that one. Those pills hit different. Canelo actually didn't do PEDs on purpose, in my opinion. Tall Kid, we can talk about that really quick. So let's talk. I've mentioned this a few times, Tall Kid. My first initial kind of like thoughts were, he's fucking cheating. Like he's cheating. He's cheating. There's no question Canelo is cheating. He took a banned substance. It's a cut and dry kind of situation, right? That Mexican beef is not a good. No. And I was of that mindset for a long time. Especially being a fan of Triple G. I was like, no. You cheated. You're a cheater. But I was like, you know what? Like it was actually because of Dillian White. Dillian White popped hot, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do some research on all this kind of stuff. How's the testing work? How does this all kind of work? Why are guys popping hot? Yada yada yada, all that stuff. And I kind of got into it a little bit. And I remember that's when I started doing some research on Canelo and him popping hot. Couple fun facts. Whether you think he's still a cheater, that's up to you. I don't care. These are the facts I found. Okay, you ready? Number one, the actual substance in question in Canelo's system is found in Mexican beef. And if you want an example of this or where this source comes from, it comes from the Mexican army. The actual amount of that substance is found in the Mexican army, and they found this in their own army through the government. So it's government documents. It's not like bullshit made up kind of testing BS. It's legit Mexican army government documentation on this. The next big thing is they tested his hair, and his hair showed negative. Now, if you know anything about drug testing, and my wife did background drug testing and did background checks, guess what? The hardest way to lie other than blood is literally hair. It's really tough. So I feel as though, is it possible? Yes. Is it the most likely situation? Probably not. I think maybe he did cheat a little bit. But it's one of the more legit excuses I have heard for cheating. And that's where I'll leave it at that. Billy Joe Saunders talking about nasal spray, get the fuck out of here. If you're talking about Dillian White talking about, supplements and not knowing what's in them, I'm sorry, I don't believe that crap. I don't. When you have government documents for your stuff, I'm not saying I believe you. I'm just saying it's more plausible. That's all I'll do. It's more plausible. You can absolutely dive into it more if you want, but from a general look at it, it's maybe possible. It's not the worst excuse I've heard. How about that? The dog didn't eat my homework, okay? It's a better excuse than that. Oh, yeah, no, Canelo at Plant, we'll talk about that for sure, man. I was very critical of Canelo, but this performance, have convinced me. The Triple G fights, the Cotto fights, the Jacobs, the Billy Joe Saunders fights, keeps getting better. I know. So, where I'm going with all of this anyways is Triple G, just ride off into the sunset, buddy. Ride off into the sunset. You're is Triple G a Hall of Fame fighter? Would you guys consider Triple G to be a Hall of Fame fighter? Like all-time great Hall of Fame fighter? He's up there. I think what's interesting is people have said Cotto should not be let into the Hall of Fame. So, he fought some pretty interesting fights. And people always talk about Triple G's resume. You can talk about that. I think that, in my opinion, he's done some pretty special stuff. And if you look at him as a fighter, he's been special for a long time. So I would hope so. Maybe that's my soft spot for him, Okay. This next one is a little bit out of order in terms of weight class, but I got to do it anyways. I think a lot of us saw this coming or knew this was coming. Pacquiao has retired and is running for president of his country. Now, when I first saw this, I think Triple G is Hall of Fame, but I'd have to really think about it. It's kind of, biased. I hear you, Jay. Hey, you're being honest, man. You're being honest about it, Pacquiao has retired. He is going into full-on politics. Now, his agent has said he's not retired. I have a feeling a guy like this has made his mind up. If he's made his mind up and he's full on, it is what it is. Yeah, I agree with you, Shrek. I'm happy too, man. I'm happy to see a fighter ride off into the sunset when it's the appropriate time. Because we have the perfect example of Vander Holyfield. God. I'll give you an example. I hated this guy when he played football, but it's true. Peyton Manning. I hated Peyton Manning. As a Patriots fan, I hated Peyton Manning. Hated the guy. My entire upbringing, hated the dude. But when he won that Super Bowl with the Broncos, and Von Miller got the MVP, and it was just like he just rode off into the sunset and retired. It was like, dude, you've had neck issues. You're not getting any better, man. Good for you, man. Just, you're thinking about your long-term health, and you're thinking about your family. Good for you. What did you find? What did you find, Shrek? Because, you know, like, as much as I hate Peyton Manning, I have a respect for him, you know? Ugas amateur record, 112 wins, 6 losses. Fuck, that's really... There's your Cuban background right there. There's your Cuban amateur background right there. So, you know, watching guys like this that kind of like ride off into the sunset, just do it, man. Just do it. I want Pacquiao to retire, but he's trying to get into one of those, yeah, dirty or similar, yeah, into boxing, politics. I mean, yeah, just as dirty, right? I don't know about this, you know, political views. I'll say this. This is what I found looking at it a little bit more. Some people are critical that are Filipinos of Manny, saying that he can't even run, you know, a province or a section of it. He shouldn't be president of it. I gotcha. He is almost a god in that country, though. Like, he is obviously has massive sway. He is a absolute icon of that culture. I worked with a guy whose wife was Filipino in particular, so I'd always ask him questions like, hey, you know, how does she feel? How does her family feel about, you know, Manny and this and that? And he's just like, dude, like, zero quit. These people have zero quit, and they have just an unreal kind of work ethic, and Manny is just special to them. And I get it. I get it. I've seen my comment section anytime I do a Manny Pacquiao video on my YouTube channel. My videos explode with Filipinos, like, speaking about how much they love this guy. And I've never seen that for any boxer on any of my videos, other than maybe Mike Tyson's the only other person I've seen that, like, there's an unreal amount of people that just care about this person. So, good for him. Stick to politics. Keep it what it is. A full anarchist. Manny is, I'm going to imagine, somewhat of a capitalist. But I know he's full on. Okay. Here's a little dark past for Manny. Manny used to be sponsored by Nike. You know why Manny's not sponsored by Nike anymore? I got this from the horse's mouth. When I lived in Portland, Oregon, with people that worked at Nike. Manny was sponsored by Nike, and then he wasn't anymore. You know why? Now, this was a while ago, so I can't say it's like, I don't want you to cancel him, but I believe this was in an interview. Don't quote me on it, but what I understand, that Manny compared gay relations to bestiality. Something along those lines. Something along those lines was said, I believe, by Manny. And I don't have to tell you guys that Nike's a fairly progressive company to begin with. And their dollars are really in the NFL, MLB, NBA. They're not really in, like, boxing. So fringe sports, when I talked to, you know, a person that worked at Nike and that was very high up in Nike, actually, at a point, I said, you know, why don't you guys get more into boxing? They said, look, boxing is considered very fringe for us. MMA, all that kind of stuff, like it's very, very fringe for us. We pick the most elite talents and then we'll sponsor them. And I was like, why not Manny Pacquiao? Because didn't you guys sponsor him for a while? And they're like, yeah, we had to end that contract. And then they kind of found out why. Yeah. So, I love Manny, and I still love Manny. But yeah. Don't hold me to that from that's what I understand. That's what I understand. Don't hold me to it, but yeah, that's bad. So that's you see if I can maybe find anything on that. Oh, yes. Here we go. That's easy. That was an easy find. Yeah. Anyways. So we're going to move on to a couple other big hitters, interesting people. Because I think it's more important that we talk about big picture, other stuff. So, looking at a few other things we got going on. All right. Here's the next big thing. Oh, yeah. There needs to be a straight up intervention with Oscar. Oscar De La Hoya is just becoming a problem. He offered Floyd Mayweather $100 million for a rematch. Now, we have not seen Oscar for a long time in the ring. So we don't know how he looks. Now, Floyd, we've seen. We've seen Floyd fighting various kind of sideshow, more fights kind of things. But even still, we've seen Mayweather fight even like MMA guys like Conor McGregor. Let's be honest, Logan Paul was a huge kid. Huge weight class difference than him. And he still looked pretty good. Like, not perfect. But, yeah, he beat a 200-pound kid that's 6'3". Floyd, even though he's not the same Floyd, he still looks really good. Now, here's the interesting twist with all of this. If Oscar was in the ring and Holyfield wasn't during that beating for Vitor Belfort, would he have survived? Would he have won that fight? I don't know, man. I don't know if he would have. Because seeing how Evander Holyfield just got manhandled. I tried, Shrek. Minnie was crucifying me for my, pronunciation. Vitor looked fucking on everything under the sun for that fight. And I question whether Oscar would have won that fight. Looking at it, no. Granted, Holyfield looked all about, he looked 58. He looked every bit of 58. Every bit of 58. But it does raise that question. Who would look better? Who would do better in this time? I know. Minnie was calling me on my stuff, which is good for him. I didn't expect Holyfield to get done like that. I know. Jay, it broke my heart. I don't know where Minnie went. It's okay. Jay, it broke my heart. And at the same time, it was like, yeah. I'm glad that hopefully some people around Holyfield are like, dude, just stop. Just stop. Like, you got crushed. You got crushed, dude. Just stop. I mean, he's not there. He's not ready for any other kind of fight. And I swear to God, if some fighting commission gives him a license, they should absolutely be sued. Like, get out of here with that. The fact that he was given a license, a boxing license to fight, is almost criminal that Holyfield was given that. If anyone else gives him that crap and allows him to fight, I swear to God, as a boxing community, we need to rise up and be like, no. Just no, dude. This is not allowed. Oh, exactly, Shrek. The Triller guy, he's the last dude to trust. Absolutely. So I think this is interesting from Oscar De La Hoya. $100 million. Does he have that money? I don't really know if Oscar has that money. I just don't know. Age 58. Yeah, age is a number, dude. Absolutely. Ian Cow Nugget. Exactly. Dude, it was, I know for a lot of you guys as well, it was really sad to see Holyfield get done like that. So sad to see a guy get done like that. Because you're just like, growing up with him, or you see his fights in the past and how much of a warrior he was. It sucks. Okay, Chisora. Make that a little bit bigger. Chisora, I gotta make it smaller. Chisora versus Joseph Parker rematch has been announced. Now, I thought for the first fight, Parker won by a slim margin. I mean, DAZN's going to have some interesting fights for the next year or so, so I think it's interesting. Chisora versus Parker rematch is somewhat tantalizing. And I say that because when I watched it live, and I had Parker winning. I had Parker winning by like a round, maybe two at max. Max. Like, he really didn't win by much. And I have been on this train that Joseph Parker isn't that good of a fighter. I've been on this train, and if you want to check me, go watch my Joseph Parker versus Junior Fa freaking video I did on my YouTube channel, where I literally said it's been over X amount of time for Joseph Parker. I think he's going to be rusty. I think he's going to have issues. I don't think he's going to look that good against Junior Fa. And what happens? Exactly what I predicted. And then he came into the Chisora fight, and I predicted, you know what? I think he's going to win by a jab, but he's not going to win by much. He's not going to look very good. And guess what happened? Exactly what I said. Usyk's last, Chisora was the last fight for Usyk. So, with Joseph Parker, the question is, does he care more about meth and drinking, or does he actually want to be a boxer? And if you don't know about Joseph Parker and meth, Google it. Because the one thing I will say The one thing I will say about Derek Chisora is this. He's not a perfect fighter. He's not a perfect fighter. But I will say this about Derek Chisora. The first 4-5 rounds, he's going to make your life a living hell. He's going to give you every single punch he's got, every bit of strength he has, and if he hits you hard enough, he can hurt you. So, I'm really interested kind of in this fight a little bit. What the heck Joe Parker is doing, man, I know. I like Chisora, but clear Parker has no interest in trying to be a champion again. Jay, I couldn't have said any better than that. I mean, Joseph Parker's clearly got issues. The drinking's one thing. I think like selling meth kind of thing is another thing. You know, whether it's true or not, I can't make accusations. But I will say, Joseph Parker is just not focused on boxing. He's not. He's just not. And Derek Chisora, like I've said time and time again, Derek Chisora is gonna be an interesting guy. He's gonna throw everything in the kitchen sink at you for the first 4 or 5 rounds. And if he doesn't knock you out, dude, he's gonna hurt you. And if he doesn't get you out, he's still gonna be in there to try to hurt you. Say what you want about Derek Chisora, he's a fun guy to watch. He's fun to watch at least 4 or 5 rounds. And I can't say that about every heavyweight boxer, so. I'm more interested how this all kind of plays out. Because Parker, like, literally won by razor thin. Razor thin last time. Okay. Now let's get into some more of the more interesting stuff. I'll talk about one guy and then I'll get into the really interesting stuff, which is we'll talk about Canelo versus, Plant and all that good stuff, man. So this one is not one of my favorite fighters. And as you guys know, you'll see really quick who it is. You know I don't like this guy. But it's interesting nonetheless. Joe Joyce says Ortiz refused to fight, wants to talk about Joshua versus Usyk. Now, he has a legitimate claim to fighting whoever has the WBO belt. Chisora is the gift that keeps on giving, man. Absolutely. Not hating on him, but Parker is lost. I mean, I agree, Jay. And guess what? Guess what, Jay? I am now going to be rooting for Chisora if they have a rematch. If it's an official rematch, I will root for Chisora because I want him to get one more good win on his record and then sail off into the sunset. Dude has earned it. Go look at Derek Chisora's resume. The dude has fought, everybody. Everybody. He's fought so many top level guys and been just camp fodder for the fire of all these dudes' careers. And it's unreal how many guys he's fought. He's like the Sean Porter of heavyweights. Good job, Tolkien, I agree. It's just like, it's unreal. And so that's where Derek Chisora, I have a respect for him. And if he fights Joseph Parker again, I want him to win. So Joe Joyce, like, claiming he wants to fight AJ or Usyk. Now, first of all, Ortiz is way over the hill. Way over the hill. He's been over the hill since 1993, according to some people. And I really believe that we need to see more from Joe Joyce. Chisora's Miguel Cotto of the heavyweight division. Hard to not like him. I agree with that one, Jay. Love that. Love that, Jay. Joe Joyce needs to do a step. He needs another step in his. He needs another notch in his belt, but he needs another step up. I agree with you, Shrek. Personally, I don't like watching Joe Joyce fight. I just don't. I don't like watching Joe Joyce fight ever. But I think because people are putting him in the top 10 now for a heavyweight, you know who I want to see him fight? Michael Hunter. Michael Hunter has had an easy road as a heavyweight, and Joe Joyce hasn't had a fairly easy road as a heavyweight. These two need to collide because they have different styles. One's a little bit more heavy-handed. The other one's a little bit better mover. One's more of like a true cruiserweight, which is Hunter. Hunter and Joe Joyce need to collide. That's the fight I want to see. You do not get keys to that kingdom of AJ versus Usyk, if you ask me. You've done nothing, Joe Joyce. You've literally fought journeymen. You have no one on your record other than Daniel Dubois that is a legit good fighter that I would be like, applaud. Yeah, that's solid. I want to see Joe. Yo, Vaughn, what's going on? Oh, we'll talk about Andre Ward versus like training Caleb Plant. I love that. I think that's a great pairing. But Joe Joyce talking about like fighting AJ or Usyk. I don't see him winning against AJ, and he's definitely not going to be Usyk, especially in the second time they've fought. So for me, the big thing is let Joe Joyce fight Michael Hunter. Let him fight someone in the top 10. Let him fight someone, that's a little bit interesting. Joe Joyce selling wolf tickets about, Ortiz. Yeah, dude. Might be fighting Andrew Ruiz. That's interesting because, Jay, we did a whole video where we actually looked at Ortiz, and man, he's lost so much weight. So much weight. Who do I got? Oh, Canelo all the way. We'll talk about that. That's next, actually. That's the next story. I see Joyce thinking, how the hell is he winning? But he is winning. So, he's slow. Okay, slower than, he is the tortoise in the race of the hare. Absolutely. He's trying to talk people's, he hits hard. He is the juggernaut. He's that example of the juggernaut. He's so slow. That's why him and Hunter, it's a good pairing. It's a really good pairing. Because they have different styles. Both guys want to fight elite. Both of them. Michael Hunter, did anyone see the video from Michael Hunter's Twitter feed when Big Baby Miller got kicked out because of PEDs? Did anyone see that video from Michael Hunter? Is it just me that saw that? Michael Hunter filmed on Twitter and sent it to AJ and everyone in the world for that fight to be the man, be the guy that fights AJ. And it was Michael Hunter hitting the heavy bag. And in the background, the music was, who you gonna call? Ghostbusters! And it was literally him hitting the heavy bag. And it was this is a dude that wants to fight. He wants to fight the best. I love Hunter for that. Joe Joyce, although I hate him as he's the worst guy to watch, he can do damage. And after that Dubois fight, I had to swallow my pride on that because I thought Dubois was gonna win, man. He is there. He is there. And the winner is gonna be mandatory for WBO. I could be wrong, but should be mandatory for WBO. That's a good fight. Don't let these guys fight bums anymore. Neither one of them should fight bums. If I get Vaughn's blessing, then I think I'm on to something here. Because Joe Joyce, he's not my favorite, but he can be entertaining if he's with the right person. So, okay, let's get into it. the topic of the video. And we're going to watch like all of it. We're going to talk about all of it. Oh my God, dude. It's craziness. It's craziness. I have to hide chat really quick so we can watch this. Okay. Because we're going to go there. We're going to talk about, Andre Ward, being someone that helps out Caleb Plant, all that good stuff. So this was the big thing that everyone talked about, right? That's what everyone wanted to talk about, was that whole moment. For good reason. I mean, come on. Joe Joyce is danger. Absolutely, dude. Yeah. I agree. Dude, Vaughn, absolutely. And what makes it interesting to me is, like, every time I think that Joe Joyce is done, I'm like, this guy's done, man. He doesn't have a chance. He goes in there and he does something. And I'm just like, this guy. Hold on. Oh, yeah, dude. Absolutely. Classic Fight Night Joe Joyce. God help me, no. Like, you can't pay me for that. That's bad. Okay, this is how I'm gonna do it. Because you guys have all seen this stuff. I know you guys have seen this shit already. Hold on. Not even that. Let me. There we go. Window capture. That one. Okay. One more time. With full audio. Motherfucker is the common terminology both of you. Now, let's talk about that. Okay. Now, CANELO claims this term, or in general, get chat back up. And I agree with you, Vaughn, by the way. Just wanted to throw that out there really quick. Is Caleb Plant talking about Canelo's mother? Which I think it's safe to say, if you're going to talk about any fighter's mother in general, whether it's whatever, we know that this is not Canelo's first language. You know, he's going to get heated. It's funny that Canelo complained about Caleb using the word motherfucker, but I know. This is the classic case, Vaughn. Exactly. So it is one of those situations where Canelo's claiming he talked about his mother, which definitely rings. A lot of people understand that. A lot of people are like, okay, Don't talk about moms, That's fine. They can get on board with that. The hard part about it is that when you listen to the actual audio, I don't hear Caleb Plant saying, hey, your mom's X, Y, and Z. I just hear him saying to CANELO, motherfucker. And that leads me to believe there's maybe a little bit lost in translation to a certain degree. But as Vaughn brings up, CANELO used this term very liberally when he talked to Boo Boo. So, it's one of those situations. Now, let's go beyond. Let's go beyond the reason. I agree with you, Vaughn. Like, I don't think he actually insulted Canelo's mother. But, and this is a big but, he was shoved by CANELO. And you have a couple options when that happens. We've seen this before. I mean, Jim, yeah, I hear you. But both guys have used this term fairly liberally without it meaning what it means. So, this is my big thing. Okay? Is that CANELO shoves him. He's obviously pretty heated. If you watch the earlier press conference, CANELO was like not digging what Plant was saying. So there was already a little bit of heat, few logs in the fire there to create some real heat there. And then after the shove, Caleb Plant made the very dumb mistake of trying to strike CANELO. Now, if he went back into it and tried to get into his face, I think that would have been a smarter move. But he didn't. And instead, he tried to hit him. Now, he tried to hit him with an open hand. This is the thing. Please shooting her. I don't think Caleb was trying to do that. Yeah, I think CANELO was pissed that Caleb was been roasting the Eddie Reynoso camp for the PED use. Good point, Vaughn. Very good point. I want to bring that up. By the way, guys, if you don't follow Vaughn on YouTube, man, you're missing out. The guy's a wealth of knowledge and a great channel. That said, Caleb Plant woke up that morning, decided that he was going to choose violence. He was going to choose violence against CANELO. And so he went to hit him, but he did the smart thing of using open hand. He didn't try to punch him. Open hand. Let's be honest. He did the open hand situation. And, CANELO did a pull counter on his ass. Now, the scratch under his right eye is, they say it's from the glasses, and that, Caleb Plant's still going to be sparring on Thursday. So it's not like it's a big deal in that way. Regardless what happened, no matter the outcome, you stand your ground. I love that. See, after the scuffle, when the Plant asked CANELO if he thought he was saying he was funny. Yeah, a little bit. I mean, so I had a little bit of a thought on this, man. Yeah, totally chose violence that day. That was, and look, the other thing I will point to is that it is not like CANELO has not gotten up in people's faces. He does this, guys. If you want a good example, go watch the weigh-in, man. Go watch the weigh-in of the Triple G fight in particular. Like he gets, and Triple G is a fairly, like, he's aggressive, but he's not like overly aggressive. And Canelo goes right at him. And try to assert some of that dominance, trying to show some of that kind of. And this was my take on it. Let me see if I can get this going. Okay, here we go. This is my take on it right here. Okay, you ready? I made a quick TikTok on this. I'm trying to learn TikTok. I don't know much about it, but I'm trying to learn it. Very valuable lesson that if you're going to... Caleb Plant just learned a very valuable lesson that if you're going to swing at the king, you better be ready for him to do a pull counter and slap you back. So, yeah, let's see how this all plays out. But I'm going to give you guys some more boxing news this week. and so, you know, I'm not a dude that understands a lot of the TikTok, but it was something that's kind of interesting. And guys, you know who I heard talking about this? And this is what's crazy to me. How many of you guys know who Dr. Disrespect is? Does anyone know who Dr. Disrespect is? When Caleb called Eddie a fat bitch. That was funny. Yeah, that was. Okay, you guys know who Dr. Disrespect is, right? Dr. Disrespect today was streaming in front of 35,000 people. I watched it live. Yeah, Shrek. He did comment on this. And someone in his chat, now mind you, if you want to make a comment to Dr. Disrespect in his comment section on YouTube, you got to pay money, basically. He won't pay you any mind unless you pay some kind of money towards him or donation to him. It's just the way it is. I don't agree with it personally, but it's, you know, he's that big of a dude, right? Can we all agree that Canelo's English has gotten way better? Yeah, absolutely. Even in interviews, dude. Yeah. Dude deserves a round of applause. It's not easy learning a new language. I've always said this, Jay, that Canelo is a Spanish individual. His second language is English, and he's fluent in trash talk. So I absolutely agree with you on that one. And so the big thing is, Dr. Disrespect was talking about this incident. Someone asked him about it. Hey, Doc, did you see the violence, the speed, the momentum of Canelo during that? And Dr. Disrespect was like, no, I did. He said, I watched that clip several times. And then he said, he goes, I know who Canelo is. I don't know who this Caleb Plant guy is. So I did some research and I started watching Caleb Plant and some of his fights and stuff like that. And like highlight reels. Guys, this is Dr. Disrespect talking to 35,000 people during this. And Minnie, if you want to ban someone, there you go, big guy. And he goes, you know what? Like, I gotta say, Caleb Plant, man, the way he moves, he's really athletic. He looks really good. And my God, like he looks really interesting. His combinations. I'm kind of rooting for him. Do you guys, and like, do you think he has a chance? And the chat was like, no, Canelo's going to crush him. You know, Canelo's going to fucking destroy this guy. And Doc's like, you know, I hear you. Kind of like taking bets on the underdog. This was maybe a 5-minute conversation in like a 4 or 5 hour stream. That's not that big of a deal for a lot of people. To me, that's a massive deal. Like, that's a massive deal. Like, that's a huge, huge deal. A guy that has no interest whatsoever other than talking about his 49ers and the latest FPS game just talked to 35,000 people during a live stream about this whole fight. That's big deal, man. Like, that's a big deal. His chat was very Canelo prone, very much like Canelo's going to destroy him, yada, yada, yada. It's building, man. Like, it's building. This fight is building in a good way. I agree with you, Vaughn. This is going to be a fun fight to watch. While it lasts, absolutely, man. So, the other thing I noticed, there was does anyone know Sports Wars on YouTube? They're another YouTube channel. They kind of do general sports news and stuff like that. They're okay. They're not great. They're okay, you know. They did a whole segment on this whole punch thing, or this whole like punch thing, right? Yeah, bang bang Niners gang. Shout out to Dr. Disrespect. Vaughn, did I tell you how much Dr. Disrespect just bet on the Niners to win a Super Bowl? Did I tell you how much money Dr. Disrespect bet on the Niners to win the Super Bowl? It will blow your mind, Vaughn. He bet $10 million. He bet $10 million on DraftKings that they're going to win the Super Bowl. Because if he wins, because he's doing it so early, he did it before the season even started, he wins $350 million. So anyways, SJW people are bad guys. I only know this because they hate Brie Larson. Oh, man. I think Canelo's going to crush him. I'd like it to be more competitive, but nah, Canelo's is too good. Yeah. I think Canelo will do pretty well. He did it. He bet 10 million on it. By the way, guys, I'm just going to point it out there. If you like video games and stuff, like, go watch a Dr. Disrespect stream from the beginning. It will blow your mind. It will blow your mind. I've never seen someone stream like this. Dr. Disrespect is like, it's like watching live entertainment to a whole other level. Like, it blows your mind when you see Dr. Disrespect stream. It's what every streamer wishes they could do. Anyways, 1993, 1994, back-to-back blockbuster champion, 6'8", 235 pounds with a, what does he say, like a 36-inch vertical leap. He's over the top. I love it. Anyways, for this fight, it brought so much hype. So, like, when Sports War started talking about it, people are like, this is the first news article you've ever watched or ever done on boxing. And it literally was the first time, man. Like, they don't talk about this stuff. So, let's get a little bit of an idea what boxers had to say about this situation, because they're in the game. They're in the game. They understand it a little bit better. Let's see what boxers had to say. Devin Haney, right off the bat. Canelo got reflexes like a... I mean, come on. That's got to make you kind of a little bit blush. I mean, come on. Devin Haney on Twitter is both ridiculous and amazing at the same time. Like, it's ridiculous and amazing. He has takes like this, and you're just like, Devin Haney's absolutely hilarious. Then at the same time, turns around And like literally his next tweet right after that is this. And it's just like he's controversial and I love it. Like Devin like pokes the bear. Like he's just kind of like, yeah, they say that we can't be street fighters, right? And of course all these people were like, oh, well, you know, UFC and like BJJ and and Devin don't give a fuck, man. Devin's like straight up does not care what you think. That's part of the reason I love it. The next thing I saw was from Ryan Garcia talking about this. And, you know, Devin ain't want to punch Ryan's face. I know. Yeah, exactly. You know, Ryan Garcia giving a little bit of insight to this, kind of giving his 2 cents. Oh, Vaughn, I mentioned that to people in the chat, like, or in like certain comment sections. They're like, oh, well, it was open hand fist. Like it wasn't a real fist. It was open handed. And I was like, do you realize if one of these guys were close fisted and they hit each other, they literally break their hand and or the other guy's face and the fight's over. Like you literally destroy the fight by doing that. And if you're Caleb Plant, who broke his hand with wraps and a glove in your last fight, maybe not the best idea to hit Canelo with a, you know, closed fist like that. So, yeah, these guys know what's going on. This was interesting. Ryan Garcia reacts to Caleb Plant. Now, I don't really care what Ryan Garcia has to say about Caleb Plant in this whole situation. I want to bring you guys' attention to something else a little bit more. I want to bring you guys' attention to something else. Do you guys see what's going on with this picture with Ryan Garcia? Anyone else see it? I'll bring it to your attention a little bit more. He's getting more garbage tattoos. This is what I took away from this article about Ryan Garcia. He's getting more bad tattoos. I don't know who is in Ryan Garcia's camp. He keeps getting bad tattoos. This is not acceptable, man. This is not acceptable. Ryan Garcia has too much money. He has too many good people around him. Stop getting shitty tattoos, Ryan. A skull with a snake on your arm is one of the most cliche garbage tattoos you can get. Now, it doesn't look like it's the worst tattoo. It doesn't look like it's like prison art, but we've gone over this with Ryan Garcia. Stop it, Ryan. Stop it. You got the stuff around your neck that looks like it's almost a prison. Just this kid frustrates me with tattoos because he's a good-looking kid. That's the other part about it. He's a good-looking kid. He's a decent fighter. He's interesting. He's very marketable. And he's getting like fucking Jake Paul tattoos on him. Like, what the hell are you doing, Ryan? This is the only reason I even took a screenshot of this whole picture to talk about during this whole segment was Ryan Garcia getting more bad tattoos. It looks like there's maybe a halo going on up here. I just don't know. I don't know what's going on, Ryan. Just stop it. Stop getting ink by bad people that don't know what they're doing and get some good ink. Like, you're too far along in the game. It's like when Manny Pacquiao gave himself that little, like, you know, boxing glove tattoo, and then he kind of still got some bad ink. It's like, dude, you're not like 16 anymore. Like, you've got millions of dollars. Get something good, dude. Stop getting a biker tattoo. This is not Son of Anarchy. Like, you're literally a professional fighter and professional model. Like, just come on. There's plenty of people that will ink you for like nothing. Anyways, sorry, I had to go off on that tangent. It just drove me insane. The person that had the best take on this whole fight, the person that had the best take on this whole situation, by far, was one man. And I think that we can all agree because it's so simple. His tweet was perfect. It was a perfect tweet. It's by Earl Spence. Earl Spence said what everyone thought so perfectly in just a couple words. You can't get countered like that. Like, you go to a presser and you get freaking countered like that. Like, come on, man. Like, it's just one of those moments where, you know, Plant's going to get slaughtered. I mean, it definitely makes him not look good. He's already, people were talking about like 10-8 round already for Caleb Plant. It's just like, next is barbed wire tribal symbols. Oh my God, Jay, you bring me back to the day. And this is speaking from someone that has tattoos. Like, I have a bunch of tattoos, but my stuff's good work. Earl Spence basically summed up that whole segment, that whole moment to a T, which is like, if you're gonna go into you're gonna go into this, you're going against Canelo, you're gonna throw hands against him, right? In a press conference. You can't do that. You can't do that and get countered like that. You got to be more strategic than that. It's just not going to work. It's not going to work. And then on top of it, I don't know if other people, Vaughn, maybe you saw this too, but like people calling out Plant for being fat and calling him fat nonstop because of the pictures they've taken of them, you know, in their kind of like face-off situation with just their like, you know, boxing shorts on and everything, and like, and he didn't look great. He didn't look ripped like Canelo. So, yeah, man. I think all in all, I think we've learned a lot from this incident. I think it tells you a lot about what you should and shouldn't do. To me, this is a big case of what you should and shouldn't do. Oh, I know. It's Canelo's fandom for sure. Absolutely. Now, we do have one other thing I want to bring up. And I'm curious what you guys have to say about this. I have some thoughts, and then we'll be done for tonight in terms of boxing news. What do you got for me? Shrek? Got my last news article ready. Drop the bomb. Canelo said that he plans to fight Spence, the Charlos, or Crawford after Plant. I'll believe it when I see it. It's a great idea. I mean, fuck, I would love to see that. And he did comment about PBC and enjoying that. 80s Ali or 2000s Tyson. 2000s Tyson, probably. Sadly. Parkinson's was really bad for Ali. Deontay Wilder is sparring Helenius. And at first, I was kind of like... I always wondered, who would you get to spar with to get some kind of sense of a fury? Because it's really hard to match Fury's size. Like, height-wise, his build, it's tough to kind of match up someone. This is someone that when you showed me him against Dillian White, I'd be like, this is a terrible sparring partner. But then we saw what happened when he fought Kalnacki. And no, Vaughn, that's where I'm kind of giving him a little bit of credit. Like, I'm kind of like, we saw what happened when he fought Kalnacki. Now, mind you, let's think about where guys. Shrek, He does like Wilder. Just hold on 1 second. Let me set the stage. You ready? Elenius is not the best fighter and doesn't have the pristine record, right? I know you're kidding, Shrek. But he did knock out Kalinacki. And he gave issues to Dillian White. Now, Dillian White was the heaviest he's ever been when they fought. And neither one of them looked amazing. But he still gave issues to Dillian White and took some big shots from him. Like, big shots from him. So we know a couple things about him. He's not a pushover. He's not the greatest physique. He's not like the perfect kind of guy that has the best stamina. But he doesn't hit like a bitch. I mean, he hits hard. I mean, he can hit fairly hard, especially because we saw Kalinacki versus Chris Arreola just slugfest. Like, that was a slugfest, and these guys just like kept on going forward. You know, you can't really mimic Fury, absolutely, AJ or Wilder, but you can only try, absolutely. I mean, I have to agree with you, Jay. The more time that passes, it does favor Wilder. I think that what I'm trying to get at with this whole situation is you can't replicate Fury. You can't. His movement, everything, it's unique. But someone that can take an absolute beating. I know my stream's actually, the bit rate's just dropping like crazy right now. I don't know why. But actual beating, someone that hits hard, people that are like tough to get out of there, that's Helenius. Like, that's who he is, dude. He's someone that is not going to go away easily. So I kind of think that's kind of an interesting pairing. And I kind of like it. And I think that makes a lot of sense. To kind of pair for sparring. Now, we've heard rumors that Fury got knocked down pretty hard during sparring by a younger fighter, aka I think it's Jared Anderson when they said that, if you ask me. So yeah, I mean, this fight gets a little bit more complex the farther we go, and I mean I mean, these guys have really unique styles. The top three guys are just very unique. Hell, Usyk's really unique. Ruiz is unique. Dillian White with his left hook is unique. They all have unique standpoints, but if you can get someone that can make you like test yourself in sparring, kind of makes it interesting. So, with that, on Friday, we will probably do some kind of video game stream. Something like relax. Maybe not classic fight night. Saturday, I'm doing a 12-hour. We're doing a huge 12-hour stream on Saturday, and I'm pumped. I'm pumped for that stream. Guys, it's my last weekend before I got to get back to regular work. So, you know, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be super awesome. AJ versus Usyk. And they've got the UFC fight that night. It's going to be crazy good. But we are going to raid one of my favorite guys. Guys, if you don't know Happy's one of my favorite guys. He introduced me to an amazing game, Splitgate. I love Splitgate. We'll probably play that again on Friday, maybe with even Happy. So have a great evening. Thank you guys for being here. It was super fun to be back here streaming again with you guys. Go say hi to Happy. Go show him some love. I love Happy. He's one of the